Hello folks, welcome to the EV lease deals of the month for June 2025. Some stonkers in here for you, despite the fact that EV lease deals in general have gone up thanks to the luxury vehicle tax imposed by the government. So obviously that's had a knock-on effect and has gone onto the leasing prices a bit. It's one of those things, you can't do much about it. Link to Lease logo in the video description and a link to today's sponsor, ALA Insurance, the best place to go in my opinion for your gap insurance. Let's get started, shall we? We are starting off, as we have recently, with the 𝙇𝙄𝙉𝙆𝙎, the Extreme Edition. That's the one that's got a whole 65 brake horsepower, 522 up front and 174 a month on a 3-year deal on 10,000 miles a year. I know you're not going to do 10,000 miles in a 𝙇𝙄𝙉𝙆𝙎, so if we made it 6,000 instead, you're then looking at £161 a month. By the way, this one is a 3-year deal, but I'm also showing 2-year deals now because they're becoming quite popular. Price history on that, on the 6,000 miles a year, the lowest point was 144 quid, which was about a week ago. And aside from that, it's bang bang average. I'm showing you this one really because it's the cheapest electric car you can get that's not a Citroen Ami. Now we've got the Smart One, the 200 kilowatt Pro Plus, 261 miles of range, 323 litres of boot space, insurance group 31, 272 brake horsepower, 958 up front and 319 a month on a 3-year deal, of course 10,000 miles a year. 426 a month on average, 572 at its peak. At its lowest point, it was 18 quid a month less than it is now. But that was last September, and it's not last September anymore. £319 a month with 958 up front. Now we've got the new Puma, the Puma Gen E, the Select, 43 kilowatt hour battery in this one, 233 miles of range, 167 brake horsepower, insurance group 18, and a whacking great 556 litre boot. 986 up front and 328 a month. That's a 3-year deal. We're looking at 383 is the average price on it, 527 at its peak, 12 quid a month less than this at its lowest point. But look at that, 383 average, 527 peak, currently 328 with 986 up front. Folks, just a very quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. Now we've got the Moda 5 Noble. 257 miles of range, 204 brake horsepower, insurance group 35 and 380 litres of boot space. 991 up front and 330 a month gets you in that. 395 a month on average, 637 at its peak. Its lowest point was 30 quid less than this, but this was back in October. They did it for a couple of weeks and then seemed to pull the offer, and it went straight back up to 373 a month, 356 a month. Currently 330 with 991 up front. Folks, if you are leasing a new car or indeed buying a used car, you should seriously consider getting yourself some gap insurance. It helps to make sure you're not out of pocket if the worst happens and your car's subject to an insurance write-off. It can also do things like give you some money towards the insurance excess on your actual car insurance policy, 250 quid to be exact, or even contribute towards your initial payment on another lease car. ALA has a 5-star de facto rated product. Their claims payout rate is 99%. And you can likely save yourself a good few quid over what you're going to find in a car dealership. Typically, you're looking somewhere around £50–60 a year for some really decent cover. Head on over to ala.co.uk. If you use the code JIM10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off any of the products available on the site. So check it out. Vauxhall Grandland GS Automatic, 322 miles of range, 213 brake horsepower, insurance group 36 and 550 litres of boot space. A grand up front and 335 a month. This one's on a 2-year deal and it's in stock. It looks to be a lot better than the outgoing model, this new Grandland. I haven't had a chance to drive it yet though. At its lowest point, it was 6 quid a month less than it is now, but at its highest point, it was 3 times what it is now. It was over £1,000 at its highest point. That's nuts. 554's been the average on it. But in the real world, it's been more like the late 300s, early 400s. So 335 does still seem like a little bit of value. That one is in stock, so we'll go quickly. So don't forget to use that link to Lease logo that's in the video description and in a QR code on your screen. Renault Scenic E-Tech Techno long range automatic, 381 miles of range, 217 brake horsepower, insurance group 33 and 545 litres of boot space, a grand up front and 339 a month. 397 a month's been the average on it, 459 at its peak, and at its lowest point, it was almost a year ago. It was 17th of June. It was 319 quid. But since it then went up to 450, 414. It's been 370 for a long period. Currently 339 with a grand up front. That looks like exceptional value for what is supposedly an absolutely brilliant car. So that looks like a really hot deal at the moment. So jump on it if you're interested. Kona Electric N-Line, 282 miles of range, 218 brake horsepower, insurance group 31 and 466 litres of boot space. A grand up front and 342 a month on that one. Average has been 381, 634 at its peak. At its lowest point, it was 330 quid, 12 quid a month less than it is now. Currently 342 a month with a grand up front. Still good deals on the big battery version of the ID3. This is the Match Pro S. You probably know the stats by now, but this one's got 345 miles of range, or at least that's what's claimed. 402's been the average on it. 657 at its peak. At its lowest point, it was 4 quid a month less than it is now. It's at 1,067 up front and 355 a month. Then we've got the Ioniq 5 Advance, 273 miles of range in this one. It's on the 800 volt architecture, so it can charge at the speed of, I don't know what, 18 minutes from 10 to 80%. The charge curve's amazing on them as well. So they charge at a high speed for a long period of time. 520 litres of boot space, insurance group 33, 170 brake horsepower, 1100 up front and 365 a month gets you into one of those. 419 has been the average on it, 456 at its peak and 364 was its lowest point, so about 20 pence less than it is now. It's 1100 up front and 365 a month. Then we got the Ioniq 6, which is a brilliant thing. Polarizing design, but I happen to love it. I think it's a good looking thing. 339 miles of range. Again, it's on that 800 volt architecture, so you can benefit from super fast charging. It's about 400 litres of boot space, insurance group 37 and 228 brake horsepower, 1138 up front and 379 a month, 10,000 miles a year, 3-year deal. 520 was its peak, £520 a month at its peak, 473 on average, and today is the lowest price we've seen it in the last 12 months. It's £379 a month with 1138 up front. Link to Lease logo is up here. You can scan that with your phone, or you can dive into the video description and find it there. Peugeot E3008 GT, 325 miles of range, insurance group 33, 588 litres of boot space, 379 a month with 1138 up front. This one's a 2-year deal on 10,000 miles a year. Average on that's been 454, 569 at its peak and 361 at its lowest point. Currently 379 with 1138 up front. And then we've got the Cupra Born, the e-Boost V3 automatic. Basically that ID3 all over again, but it's a bit funkier looking, a bit more aggressive looking. 399 a month, which makes the ID3 look a much better deal in fairness. But 1,200 quid up front. And this is pretty much the lowest price we've seen. It's been £1 less than this in the last 12 months. At its peak, it was 737, 515 on average. Currently 399 with 1198 up front. The BYD Seal is a very popular car and a very good car. 354 miles of range, 312 brake horsepower, insurance group 48 and 400 litres of boot space. 1,223 up front and 407 a month. History-wise on this, the last 12 months, we've been looking at an average of 495, 661 at its peak and 384 at its lowest point. But once again, that lowest point was the 17th of June last year. So at 407 a month, it looks like a bit of value. Skoda Enyaq iV 85X Sport Line, 332 miles of range, 286 brake horsepower, insurance group 38 and 585 litres of boot space. 1338 upfront and 446 a month on this one. At its lowest point, it was 425 a month. At its highest point, it was 748. On average, it's been 523. It's currently 446. BMW iX1 xDrive 30 M Sport. 269 miles of range, 313 brake horsepower, insurance group 38 and 490 litres of boot space, 1395 up front and 465 a month gets you into the iX. 614 a month has been the average, 886 at its peak, 392 at its lowest point. It's dipped to that a couple of times. So it might be one to sit and watch. But when you look at this same period last year, it was like nearly 900 quid a month. And then it went down to sort of 650, that kind of money. So at the moment, it looks all right at 465, but it has dipped down a couple of times in the past. I don't know, they could have been cancelled orders or something. But currently 465 with 1395 up front. BMW iX2 xDrive 30 M Sport, 267 miles of range, insurance group 38 and 525 litres of boot space, 1423 up front and 474 a month, 606 on average, 902 at its peak. Its lowest point, which was in April, only back in April, for a New York minute there, it was 410 quid a month. But it's been around this 474 for quite a long period of time now. So I don't think that's a terrible price at the moment. Folks, just a very quick reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. Right, the ID7 GTX is the very fast version of the ID7. This is 0-62 in 5.4 seconds. I thought it was 6, it's 5.4 seconds. 1429 up front and 476 a month. This is on a 2-year deal. 532 litres of boot space, insurance group 41, 340 brake horsepower, 366 miles of range. It's a brilliant car. It's by far the best ID car they've made so far, taking everything into account. 619 a month on average, 1448 at its peak. 475 a month at its lowest point, so it's basically £1.30 less than it is right now. It's £476 a month with $14.29 up front. Now here's a sexy one for you. It's the BMW i4 Coupe eDrive 35 M Sport, 298 miles of range, 286 brake horsepower, insurance group 34 and 470 litres of boot space. 0-62 in this one, 6 seconds, 1500 up front, 505 a month. 654 a month has been the average, 858 at its peak. At its lowest point, it was 468, which is crazy, but currently at 505, it still looks all right to me. Tesla Model Y standard range. You can use the link to Lease Loco for this, but there are also loads of Tesla member referral links in the video description. So if you got one of those, you go direct through to Tesla, and usually there's some sort of perk for you for using a referral code, and obviously a perk for the person whose code you click on. 311 miles of range, 279 brake horsepower, insurance group 37, which is a lot more sensible than the insurance group on my car, and 0-62 in 5.6 seconds. £670 a month has been the average. Obviously this version's not been out very long. 841 at its peak, 505 at its lowest point. It's currently 529. I've got one of these in for review on Friday, I think. So I'm looking forward to that, because I absolutely love my current Model Y. But if they make the changes they made with the last Model 3 to the Model 3 Highland, I think it could be a very nice upgrade from the previous Model Y, because what they did with the Model 3 was really quite impressive. So it'd be interesting to see if they've done that with the Model Y, or if they've just tightened it up a bit. It has got a new sleeker front end. I still don't know if it's a good looking car, but it's certainly a better looking car. BYD C-Line 7, which is a direct rival to that Model Y, albeit I don't know, it's a difficult one when you look at the numbers. It's the design, all-wheel drive, 283 miles of range, 530 brake horsepower, 520 litres of boot space, insurance group 47, 0-62 in 4.5 seconds, 639 a month on average, 844 at its peak, and this is the lowest price we've seen it so far at 561, but it's only been out 5 minutes, remember. Genesis GV60 77 kilowatt all-wheel drive automatic with the comfort pack, 292 miles of range. Again, it's got that crazy charge curves, that Hyundai 800 volt architecture, 318 brake horsepower, insurance group 44, and 432 litres of boot space, 0-62 in 5.5 seconds, £690 a month on average, 792 at its peak. Currently the lowest price we've seen it in the last 12 months at £568.42. It's an exceptionally good car. I mean, it really is a lovely, lovely thing. And I don't think you can go far wrong with it. Polestar 3, that's got 397 miles of range, 484 litres of boot space. Insurance group 50, though, 489 brake horsepower, which gets you down the road from 0-62 in just 5 seconds. 861 a month on average, 1,411 at its peak. Its lowest point was 641. We've gone up a bit since then, but don't forget that luxury car tax. 672 a month it is now, with £2,000 up front. Genesis G80 luxury automatic all-wheel drive, the really super luxurious land barge with a sexy interior, which I'll show you in a second. 323 miles of range, 370 brake horsepower, 354 litres of boot space, insurance group 50, 865 a month on average, £1,000 at its peak. Its lowest point was 748, we're currently 773. Now let me just show you that interior. Oh, hello. It's definitely a car for a discerning gentleman. It really is a lovely thing. I may have mentioned this car a few times. I took it round Millbrook again the other day with someone that watches the channel who happened to be there, which was a good laugh. It's just amazing. The Ioniq 5N, of course, 2,232 up front and 744 a month, 278 miles of range, 650 brake horsepower, 480 litres of boot space, 0-62 in 3.4 seconds. 785's been the average on it, £1,000 at its peak, 724 at its lowest point, and we're only 20 quid more than that now. And of course, the luxury car tax is on this. So at 744, including that tax, it looks pretty special. I'm going to do a video on that luxury car tax and how it might affect a lease, because I've asked lots of lease companies the question. My advice to you, based on the number of them that have responded, is that always ask the question at the time you lease. All the prices should include it because it's now a known quantity, but double check with the broker. You don't want to get a nasty surprise further down the line. Thanks for watching that one, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've subscribed to the channel, and I hope you'll use my link to Lease Loco. And of course, check out our wonderful sponsors, ALA, for your gap insurance, excess reduction insurance, alloy wheel and tyre cover, anything like that. I can't recommend them highly enough. ala.co.uk, and the code GYM10 gets you 10% off. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it.